Brendan, hello. Uh, we heard a lot of the result-based scheme in Ireland. I think you were the first who implemented that in the country. Can you tell us something why you developed this result-based scheme in your country?
Yeah, so we began Wolfgang back in about 2005, and we had a life-funded project, and that was based on actions. So we had 20 farms, and on each farm we had a suite of actions designed to improve the management and to improve the environmental outcomes. And it worked really well. The farmers liked it. There was really good buy-in. But when we look back on it in 2010, at the end of the project, we found that while we'd done a lot of work and the farmers had achieved a lot on the farms, the environmental management or the management of the farm hadn't always changed. So we put a lot of infrastructure in, but the management that we wanted hadn't followed consequently. And so when we asked the farmers why this was, the explanation was fairly rational. The farmers said, well, on these areas, these high nature value areas, it's not really worth a while to put cattle there in the way that you want to deliver these ecosystem services, because we're not being paid for them, we're just being paid for the value of our animals. So we decided at that point we needed an incentive to encourage the farmer to graze these areas which he otherwise wouldn't bother grazing. And that's where our result-based approach originated from.
And after this long time, can you say today, is there in fact any added value for biodiversity?
Yeah, so we've had 10 years of experience now of working with up to 330 farmers across 23,000 hectares of really high nature value farmland. And through the scoring system, we can track the impact of that at a field level or at a farm level or at a program level. And every single year since we've begun, we can show an incremental improvement in the environmental health of the habitats. I think what we found to be really good about it, Wolfgang, is that by taking a results-based approach, every farmer does things differently. And of course, nature loves the diversity of management like that. So that's been really positive. Different farmers doing different things at different times, all with the aim of improving the environment and improving biodiversity. That's worked really, really well. We've also found that there's, for the farmer, there's a lot more flexibility of approach. So for farmers, the payment is really important and the incentive, but also the kind of the freedom and the trusts allowed for that farmer to manage his land and his livestock in a way that best suits him and best builds on his management experience. So for biodiversity, our results have been very positive, and for the farmers as well, it's been very positive.
Brendan, can you give us some personal comment? What do you like personally on this new system? Because it is a new system. And what did it change? What is now different than it was yesterday?
That's a really good question, because when we started off, we were just addressing this issue of economics. In other words, we're providing an incentive. But actually the impact and the knock-on effect of that has been really, really interesting. So I think, first of all, what we found is that this result-based payment system, it really fosters innovation among farmers. So farmers are saying, oh, this stuff is worth money now, how do I do it? And we've actually seen a lot of innovation from the farmers. Secondly, I think what's been really positive from the farmers' point of view is that now they understand what this program is about. So rather than being told what to do and when to do it, now we're showing them what it is that we want, and we're challenging them farmers to deliver it. So that's really positive. Well, farmers have a better understanding of what they wanted. We found as well that it's become a really strong system of monitoring the field score, which we didn't anticipate in the beginning, but it's a really good way to track the impact of the program, how well it works, and that's been hugely important in terms of its further expansion and continued funding. And I think what we've also found as well is that the money is really going to where it's it's most needed now. So farmers who are really engaged and want to deliver do very well from this program, whereas other farmers who aren't as interested aren't really getting as much. So I think from our point of view and from the farmer's point of view, those who do the most are getting the greatest reward. And I think that's another thing that we didn't quite anticipate, which has worked very, very well.
Great. Brendan, we have in this network, which we build up, we have several countries which just start with this approach. can you give us an advice to a country that is interested in the result-based scheme but has no experience now in that?
Yeah, and that's where we started not so long ago, Wolfgang. So I think what I would say is that I think it's all eminently achievable. It's not complicated. It's very, very simple. In fact, our program is based on very, very simple principles of rewarding the delivery of the environmental outcomes that we want. I think the important thing is to build a good, strong evidence base. So get working now with colleagues in universities or in science to try and build your scorecard and build your system. I think it's also really important to involve farmers from day one in the development of the scoring system. What works, what are the priorities, how they might be achieved, because there's a lot of good practical knowledge on the ground. So start building those relationships, start building those partnerships. And I think be aware of the fact that money isn't the only thing. Time is really important. So the sooner you begin this process, even to think about it and to engage partnerships and build the science, the better it is and the better impact you'll have long term. And I think the other thing we've learned here in Ireland is always be prepared to admit you're wrong and to be able to make change, to adapt all the time. So we've refined our system, adapt over time, and we'll continue to do that. But I think you got to start somewhere. People think it might be a little bit daunting, but the Burn program, it's been running very successfully now for 10 years. We developed a result-based system, a scoring system from scratch through my colleague Sharon Parr in the course of about 2 months. So it needn't be very complicated. And the final thing I'd say is that the big difference now between now and when we started is that there's much more experience, there's much more support through this network, through different European projects, through just visiting different landscapes which have a result-based approach up and running. And what I think works really well, and has worked really well for us, is that when we get visitors, we might get a combination of farmers, policymakers, and scientists coming together as a unit to visit us and to learn from their peers about how it works for each one of them. I think that's invaluable. And we're always happy to host anybody who'd like to learn more about result-based programs in Ireland. So in summary, I think just gotta get in there. I think it's absolutely worth trying. I think it's for us, it's revolutionized our approach. The level of engagement from the farmers has been terrific. The value for money has been terrific, and most importantly of all, the impact on the environment, which is what we're all about, has been really, really great. So I strongly recommend that countries at least begin to explore the possibility of these RBACS programs.
Great. So thank you very much, Brendan. Good luck and all the best to Ireland.
Thank you very much. We'll need it. Take care.
Ciao.